that's working. Excellent. Yep, we should be going out to the live stream. Close that window. And let's start letting people in. Got it. Hello, everyone. Welcome one and all. Back to Piano Tech Radio Hour. Good to see you once again. We'll be getting fully started momentarily. We'll let people roll in for a moment. We'll do an intro, and then we'll get to talking to our guest today. Excited about that. Getting some things set up, getting some remaining people jumping in. Awesome. Got this stuff. All right. And looks like we got most of the folks are present. We'll probably have a few more. Good to see you, Terry. You looking happy on this Saturday morning, or I guess afternoon for you, early afternoon for me out there in New York. Yeah, okay. We'll say a fine welcome to everyone out there. You have found yourself at Piano Tech Radio Hour, and each week we gather here to meet with and learn from some of the most interesting folks and knowledgeable folks in the piano world. That can include everything from musicians to makers of other instruments, to dealers, to manufacturers, designers, and of course, piano techs are often here. And our mutual goal here is to build a more musical world together and to help each other. You can find out more about what's going on with us through pianotechniciansmasterclass.com. This program is brought to you by Piano Technicians Masterclasses. That's an online learning resource that brings you cutting-edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. And if you want to subscribe to Piano Tech Radio Hour, I highly recommend it for just $16 a month. You will get the recording of each session in a member area. You'll get a link to join these sessions each Saturday without any hassle at all. And you'll get the first look at what's about to happen in these sessions. And so we appreciate you not only subscribing for your own benefit, but also it helps us support the production of the program and keep everything going. And then, of course, if you go to pianotechniciansmasterclass.com, we encourage you to subscribe for our lectures. We just finished one with Doug Gregg on cross-trade tools, where he talked about using everything from his experience as a veterinary doctor to a motorcycle or car technician to a furniture finisher and repairman, and taking those tools and putting them into his practice in the piano world. So we have a lecture like that with kind of more in-depth information that happens every third Thursday of every month. So if you're a subscriber to Piano Technicians Masterclasses, you can always get in on that content. So without further ado, I would love to introduce our guest for the day. I'm very excited to welcome Ji-Yoon Kim. She is been described as a force of nature and one of the next great stars of the music world, a pianist who brings a fresh and wonderful way of presenting classical music, creating intimate conversation between performer and audience. She's an award-winning classical pianist. Again, her name is Ji-Yoon Kim. She's also an author, and we'd like to talk about that a little bit. But yes, Ji-Yoon, let's welcome you to the program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Tuning in from San Diego. They're preparing for a big hurricane coming up this weekend. But I'm so glad to be here. When I got invitation to be in this particular podcast, first thought was, should I be on the show? Just because I'm not a piano technician, but at the same time, pianist needs piano technician, and piano technicians obviously need pianists to make music with it. So I thought this intimate relationship we have, it's so important. So I thought, you know what? I think I should be on that podcast. It would be interesting to talk about, ins and outs and behind the scenes of actually music making. And yeah, so I'm so glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, you're in good company. We've had Grammy Award winners and nominees. That could be musicians from, flamenco jazz pianist featured at Carnegie Hall to award-winning recording engineers and so on and so forth. So Frederick Chu's been part of the program. He's had a lot to say about his relationship with technicians and actually had a conversation alongside one of his kind of favorite technicians on our program. So yeah, you're in the right place. You're in good company, and it's just great to have you here. So yeah, we went back and forth a little bit about the program before beginning it, and put a little plan together. And I thought, it would be useful right off the bat to kind of jump back a little bit into your history to just lay some foundation for not only the conversation, but for the audience about you. I think it's been since, 4 years old since you started playing the piano. So if you could share with us, that's a long journey, from just even to a young adult from 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love to hear kind of a summary of the journey. It doesn't have to be a minute by minute recap, and focus on like the twists and turns and maybe the plot twists in the journey of piano for you for a moment. Why don't you have at it?
Yeah. So I started when I was 4 in Korea, South Korea. So I don't recall that I request to take piano lessons, and I think thanks to my parents to bring me to Piano Institute. From then on, my parents were really busy parents, always working for businesses. So there was my responsibility to go to Piano Institute on my own. Even 4 years old, I had this daily schedule that bring out, piano bag and, walking around. And when I thinking back, like, wow, what a safe world that I lived in. And I really went on every single day at the Piano Institute. And in my Piano Institute had like multiple pianos at the same time, and a mostly upright piano. And that's where I started piano lessons. And so we continue. I never really thought seriously what it means to become pianist. I love just music. I love piano particularly, and I love singing. So music was just part of my world. And by the time I entered into high school, someone said, in order to become pianist, you should get into art high school, and which means you have to become a lot more serious, whatever that means. I thought I was all serious, or music is all about having fun. And then no, you require a lot more practices and getting into this, rigorous audition. So I changed teachers and I get in art high school, where also we have this kind of boxing upright piano to practice on, and very competitive. If we all play the same pieces as etude or other repertoire as a piano exams, and the winner or top 3 are all of the people who the result was on the bulletin board after the exam. So it was quite rigorous, and so I did not like that aspect of a competitiveness to each other, but I tried to, at that time, my personal life was really, really difficult. My parents were divorcing and all of that. So that in a way piano was my oasis. Music was always my oasis. So I kind of dodged the bullet of competition with each other, but whether I found peace in music. And then I got into undergrad in Korea, major in piano performance. And after that, I knew all along I'm going to go to abroad to study piano. And my choice was either Germany or in America. And I lived in Germany for 2 months, and I lived in America, on all places, South Carolina, for 2 months to test out the water, because that was such a different culture change. I really wanted to see how it works. And so in Germany, when I went there, I felt like, wow, this is basically the Beethoven was walking on this road. Mozart was walking around, and that feeling was so real and raw. I really felt that this is a place that people, talking about Schubert as their folk song, and I love that environment. Classical music is so embedded in their culture, but yet at the same time, for the first time, I thought I was Asian, which I never thought about it. I was always Ji-yoon. And I really felt that as much as the culture was embedded, and also I was alien, which I couldn't get over it. And when I came to America, I became Ji-yoon again. So culturally, I decided I might fit in America better. And, the most amazing teachers come to America anyway. So I auditioned Juilliard, USC, and Indiana University, all different cities in the different coast. And I got in all three, but I decided to go to Indiana University. At the time when I auditioned, Indiana was covered, the cornfield was covered with snow, which I didn't see. But, New York, Juilliard was too similar to competitive nature of Korea. West Coast felt like too relaxed, too unreal, too foreign for me. Indiana felt just right amount of the seriousness and the warmth in people. And I felt that here I can study. So I decided to Indiana, and soon later I was shocked because I was still a city girl, growing up very much like a New York City like environment, and then everything but cornfield. But the Bloomington itself was a cocoon within Indiana, and where all of the most great musicians study or teach, where I encountered one of the best pianos, where I could, every practice room had a Steinway. I think Indiana might have been a Steinway school. I don't know. There is a Baldwin, some other pianos, but I got to practice on one of the best pianos, which improved me and grew me as a better musician. And I studied master's and doctorate degree. And it took almost like 10 years being there, but it felt like a year. And if I could, I wanted to stay there forever. But soon also I realized that I lived in a cocoon. Again, I never thought about what it means to become a pianist in this world. Is that, I thought after graduating doctorate degree in this reputable university, the agent knocked on the door and let's tour the world, or I landed on the university or something would happen. That's what I thought. And only thing I thought about, or only thing I focused with my teacher was become better musician, which I'm really thankful that I had that kind of, cocoon time, that I was unrealistic heaven that I lived in. But after that, I became Dr. Kim. I realized, okay, now what? Now really reality sets in, and I had a difficult time to face the reality of, there was a 2-track. Either I entered a competition early on, maybe late teenager, just keep adding the major competitions and until I win, which I didn't. And I went to the university track, in which I kept studying. And I was in early 30s and still very much of, I thought something going to open up, but everything same, but people could call me Dr. Kim. Everything same, and I realized I don't know enough. Doctorate degree itself really humbled me, how much I keep learning. I have to keep pursuing this field. And then after that, I actually knocked on the door of university track, which I thought that becoming a professor is a way to go. I mean, what else could I? And I got in one of the top 3 candidates for one of the university in San Diego. And I thought I got it. And after that, actually, a little detour before that was I got another degree in master's piano pedagogy at Butler University in Indianapolis, where I worked at the university and also, I wanted to know how to teach. 4-year-old, I could teach Chopin etude fine, but it's like the idea of 5 years old or group really scared me, and it bothered me. So I really went back to master's degree to piano pedagogy, so I could learn how to become teacher, which I was also interested in. And after that, so after that 3 candidate, and I did not get it. And at the end of it, I learned that there was already chosen candidate, that all along I was, cover up. And that reality hit me at that moment that, do I want to be a professor? Why? I don't know. I never thought about it. I thought I liked the protection, maybe security comes with it. But then every professor that I talked, they were not really happy with their job. They hated the emails and all of the administration work and, repetitive things, especially if you're not teaching at Indiana University. Some of the colleges, they're like, hate the work, but they're okay with it because the security comes with it. But then eventually they were depressed about it. And then it comes down to it for me, like, is that secure? What is secure means? So I decided, you know what?
By the way, I'll interject. I've heard it said that that people would rather have security in something that they know that they don't like than insecurity in something better, right? Like, right. Just people want familiar so bad that they'll take something that's not that great, but familiar. It's kind of it's a human trait.
I know. So I decided that, you know what, I actually don't like the job itself. I like the idea of it, but it doesn't fit me. I was interested much more than just belong to one university. So I threw away the idea of becoming a professor, no adjunct, not whatsoever. When I closed that door completely, which was difficult at that time, but then I decided, okay, now what? What can I do? I love teaching. I love performing. That's based on those 2 things and start. And first thing I did was I wanted to create an album. How could I create an album? I'm gonna let the world know I'm interested in this particular project to create an album through the Kickstarter crowdfunding, 30,000 pledge, and I let people know. And I was so insecure about asking money to people. I had to practice so much times in my closet, like, oh, I have this project, would you be able to help? In order to even mention to my family members. And so, to make a long story short, that particular experience and that album called 10 More Minutes, which was like longing feeling of encore and collection of those longing emotions, each music, and what's become successful. And all the people to donate even dollar to this project became one of the biggest fan. What's interesting that they donate money, but they become fan for me. They invested in me, and so that they really felt like they're with my journey together. And there was a very interesting experience for me. And I thought, oh, I invited people into my playground, and I came out to the world in a little different way. I am Ji-Yoon Kim. Personally, I like this, but as an artist, my project to my person can be separated. So when I ask for project donating money for albums and whatever that I'm pursuing, I can say, you can help this project because I can help the world with this project. and I can be more confident about asking for donations and let's do it together. And by having them to this project also felt like I'm contributing with what I can do. And not all the albums ever since I opened up as a crowdfunding, but that particular experience taught me a lot. And that was like 4 or 5 years ago. And that's the beginning of my career as a pianist. And that my thing is that classical music, people are saying it's dying, all the audiences are only old folks and it's for grandmothers and, but when I talk about music and play for my friends or the people who never introduced me to classical music, they're so into it. They were like, "Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. What is that?" I said, "It's Rachmaninoff." Wow, that's amazing. And I felt that, they just never had that bridge. They just never had the proper experience. And nowadays, the culture of classical music, it's a little more rigid. It's a little more distanced. And so people who never experienced classical music have a hard time to getting into this beauty. But if there is a bridge, they love it. So I decided that I want to be that person, that bridge. So all my concerts, I talk on stage, but the talking is not long. It's not about history either. It's not about the emotions that I feel each piece, that what kind of story it comes to my mind in my childhood story that brings what kind of image that I think of it. It's very short, succinct, more poetic. And I think about what I would say on stage as much as I practice on piano, and that becomes an art form. And so when I first had a Carnegie Hall debut 4 years ago, all the people who donate money for my project, first album, and who really became fan and supporter of my mission came to New York from other states to Indiana to San Diego, and it became sold out, debut concert. And from that energy, I felt, I found my mission, and which was really wonderful discovery for me. I can contribute something. There's 1,000 millions other classical pianists. But there is something that I can still contribute to that person in that concert, that person through the podcast. So that person through my concert or my book, my album. And I hear from those people all the time. And now people say I am gateway drug to classical music. I guess it's pretty good.
What's the hard drugs in classical music? That's what I want to know. Are we talking about I don't know. I don't even know what it is. Think about it.
Yeah. But anyhow, so I'm concertizing a lot now. And last year season, I did a 30 city tour, which was the most I ever done in one year, and 17 concerts within a month. That was the hardest month that I ever had as a pianist, and what I experienced. That was, I toured Midwest and Upper Montana and all those Wyoming and all of those areas, and then I encountered all kinds of pianos and experiences. And now I teach privately. I have my own company. I developed the teaching a business as a side job, because it's not my full time. And I'm an author too, and I also translate my book in Korea, which became bestseller in Korea as well. And I have my own podcast, YouTube. So basically, I try to do everything, but within that everything, the core mission is to become a bridge to classical music. So
I like the gateway drug metaphor. I try to become a gateway drug. That sounds kind of fun and dicey a little bit in a fun way. But yeah, I love all of that background, and it's I kind of let you go on there for a little bit, because there are a lot of pieces that I think give people a nice foundation as we continue the conversation here. We talked a little bit before the show here in our sort of pre-interview session about your relationship with piano technicians. And I think you're a really appropriate guest to talk about this. Number one, we have a question or a comment in the chat. So let's address that. And let's use that as a bridge to talk about your relationship with, the acoustic piano. We see a beautiful acoustic piano sitting right there, and also technicians. So the question here that Mark had, and maybe it's slightly rhetorical, but maybe we can address it. How do we pass this mindset on to our clients? Your students will not be able to progress unless you become serious about the instrument. So we have clients that just say, hey, just tune it. They don't know what they want to be just yet, right? Who cares, right? So, and then let's say they decide they want to be a pianist, then we'll get more serious about the piano. Could be the reverse. Do you have any thoughts on that? Kind of, because you even said, and we'll talk about this, you have your piano tuned like once a month, right? And that's a dedication to maintaining the instrument, right? That we don't often see. So, do you think there's a way to communicate with clients, especially with children, about investing in their instrument, that it's actually worthwhile? Yeah.
To me, I mean, to all of you guys, I'm sure piano is not a thing. It's a living organism. And I talk to my piano literally outwardly. How are you today? Ooh, you're a little uncomfortable today, huh? Today you changed a little bit today. What's up? And today I feel like, okay, you're a little more settled. Oh, you don't like humidity, huh? I have to tune into my piano as much as I tune into myself. And each piano I sit down, I believe this is the best piano I ever encountered, and want this piano to become better than the piano can. That comes from my belief that piano will create the most colorful tones. And then I still feel like, there is a struggle, but on concert stage, I definitely believe that this is the best piano I ever touched, and I use my imagination to make it happen. And sometimes I joke that my job is to make a bad piano sound good, But for children, for young pianists, they think they have to give something to the piano, but more about its communication. So that a piano will give you more if you ask for it. And then it's more receiving too. And it's a two-way conversation. And often my students come in like, oh, you're, wonderful Steinway, I can make it. And sometimes they're scared of it. It's almost like a Porsche. They want to go and they don't know how to, maneuver it. And then I said, I bet your piano can do it too. Did you ever ask for it? So it's a part of education, and I hope that piano teachers will always kind of guide into each piano. What is the personality? What do you like about this piano? What is that a little limit that you wanted to make improve? Is that something that you could ask for piano technician? Like a pedal, do you know what is the depth of the piano, of the pedal? Do you know what happens in the halfway? Have you ever tried the, una coda like halfway? Do you know what is the tone that you would like more? Warmth, or do you want to be more crispy? So we use more objective verbs or the adjective words to describe the sound. And I think that's where it can start. And also the care of instrument itself, it's a loving, friend. And to me it is, I don't name the pianos, but in the presence of this whole space is nothing but piano. It's actually pretty big space, but to me, having piano only in this big space, it's normally people would have dining table, whatever. But for me, the focus of my life is a piano. And I think that the students also could learn that care for it. If there's dust, and then dust it out, and kind of, can you sense it? Daily changes, and make a note. I actually have a thick journal, and then, my technician, Mark Adams, comes every month, but he doesn't tune. Maybe he tunes about 3 times a year, but he comes. And then I show him like, let's work on a little bit of regulation today. I feel like, so he does it to something, everything, little thing, never all at once. and that it requires patience for the pianist, patience for the technician, and the ongoing conversation. But if